Chapter 17, Somewhere in Atlanta. Trevor knew that he would only get one shot to escape. If he failed, they would probably kill him. The problem was he didn't have much to work with in the room. Over the past few weeks, he observed every part of the room to see if there was anything he could use to free his hands or feet. But there wasn't much there. The only thing he could use as a weapon was the crucifix on the wall. Trevor wasn't sure how God would react to this. He hoped the Supreme Being would understand. Well, I can ask forgiveness after my escape, thought Trevor. The cross was uniquely crafted. It almost looked like a dagger with its sharp edge at the end, and the cross pieces almost like the handle of a sword. Over the past few days, he tried to be nonchalant in his examination of it. One time he knelt on the floor and prayed to it. He figured if Sebastian was watching, it would show his devotion, but really it was so that he could get a better look at the crucifix. It was no more than 30 centimeters in length, and it only seemed to be mounted to the wall with a few nails. Given just a few moments, he felt like he could rip it off the wall and use it to fight. Of course, that would be against men with rifles. Trevor was sitting on the cot when Sebastian entered. Even though he was feeling much better from his injuries, he acted like he was still in a lot of pain and struggled to get to his feet to then bow down to Sebastian. Sebastian bowed back to him and then asked if Trevor was ready to pray. "My father," Trevor kept his head low when he asked, "would you be willing to let me out of these chains for just a few minutes while we pray? I want to be unchained like Paul was in Acts 26:29, so that I may be free to talk to God." My, Trevor, you are a quick study, and I'm proud to see that our time together has brought you closer to God. There is hope for you yet. Sebastian waved his hand, and a guard opened the door and looked in. "Guard, please come. Release the bonds that hold Major Ryder, so that he may worship the Lord unchained." The guard made his way to Sebastian and spoke quietly into the commander's ear. Clearly, the guard is not happy with this idea, thought Trevor, but will he agree to it? Sebastian responded to the guard, and Trevor heard him say, "Yes, my father, I will do as you say." Trevor felt the chains coming loose from his arms and legs. It felt so good for him to be free of the binds. The chains were left on the cot, and the mats were laid out in front of the crucifix in preparation for worship. Sebastian was already murmuring some passages to himself, and Trevor was pretending to be interested as well. The guard left the room, and they were alone. Both of them knelt before the crucifix, and Sebastian started to pray aloud. "Oh God, please keep our grandson safe as we prepare for their mission. Then that will bring all of your children home, return to the earth." Trevor was waiting for just the right moment to spring. He controlled his breathing. "I will have one shot at this," Trevor thought. Then he heard Sebastian say, "Let's close our eyes, bow our heads, and pray for protection." He saw Sebastian close his eyes and bow. That was when he sprang. Trevor elbowed Sebastian with all his strength in the back, driving him to the ground, and used his body to spring to the wall and grab the cross. It came off the wall easily, and he spun it around to use the long side as a short dagger. At that moment, Sebastian was getting back up, stunned from what happened. Trevor grabbed him around the neck and spun him around, lifting him to a standing position with the sharp edge of the cross pointed directly at his jugular. The door was opening, but it was too late. "Samuels, tell your men to stand down, or I will drive this cross into your neck, and you will die." "Trevor, please, you know not what you do." Meanwhile, he was motioning to the two guards who entered the room to put their weapons down. "Put your weapons down now, or I will kill your father," Trevor ordered as he slowly made his way to the door. The men stood there, unsure what to do. "Tell them to put their weapons down now, Samuels, or I will kill you, and you will never see the final solution play out." Trevor said this with the authority of everything he learned over this time in this wretched place. "Guards, put your weapons down. I will be fine. There is no way that Trevor would kill me. Don't worry, God has a plan, and he will not let it end this way." Sebastian said this with all the conviction of his authority and belief in his religion. The men responded with, "Yes, my father," and they put their weapons down. Trevor dragged Sebastian out the door, clutching him around the neck as he went. "Trevor, there is no need to be so rough. I know that you won't hurt me. It is not in the plan." Jeez, Trevor thought, this guy has no bounds. He truly believes this with his heart and soul. As they moved down the hallway, more guards put their weapons down for fear of losing Sebastian. What they don't get, Sebastian, Trevor said as he moved them down the hallway towards the stairs, is that the Earth is not a great place now. The environment has changed. It is difficult to live in so many places. If all the humans in space returned, you would have a problem taking care of everyone. The Lord will provide, Sebastian said with conviction. Yeah, sure, Trevor said with sarcasm. Like when he provided the famine and the pandemic that covered the planet and families were wiped out. Mankind needed to move to space. We needed to seek new worlds. No, Trevor, this is where you are wrong. The Bible tells us. But Trevor cut him off. I am tired of hearing your interpretations of the Bible. God said to us to be fruitful and multiply. You didn't finish the quote, Trevor. God said to be fruitful and multiply on earth. We tried that, Sebastian. Hold on for a second. Trevor swung Sebastian around one more time, and they moved up the stairs. His disciples just stared in awe, not sure what to do as their father was being threatened with death. We tried that on Earth. We multiplied and we were fruitful, reaching more than 9 billion people. And then what happened? Then God sent famine, viruses, and destruction down upon us. Maybe we weren't meant to stay on Earth. Maybe we are meant to propagate the universe. And that was God's way of giving us a little push forward. No, Sebastian said. That is blasphemy. We are meant to remain here on Earth. Under EOA control, of course. They moved through the doors on the upper level, and for the first time Ryder could see sunlight. It was close to sunset, but freedom was so close. Well, yes, Trevor, the EOA would be the religious leaders for all of Earth, and I will be their father. Trevor knew this is what he felt, but he was surprised at the strength of the conviction coming from this man. So, are you saying that all of us will have to give up our own religious convictions and beliefs and bow down to yours? Trevor said, knowing what the answer would be, but not believing it. Yes, yes, all mankind under one religion, all following the common goal of worshiping God from earth, and earth alone. Sebastian said this with a smile on his face. He truly believed every word. They reached what looked like an exit to the outside. Trevor didn't notice it before, but they were in a room filled with Coca-Cola memorabilia. Many of the items were worn and hard to read, but it was clearly Coca-Cola. He knew right where they were. After all that fighting, he was still in Atlanta and the once famous World of Coca-Cola Museum. I am just across the park from the CNN Center, Trevor thought excitedly. There were 2 guards at the exit door. The double doors were sealed with locks and chains. Tell them to open the door, Sebastian, or I will kill you right here. The guards hesitated. Then Trevor pushed the crucifix into Sebastian's neck a little, drawing blood. This caused them to relent, and he told the men to unlock the doors. It took them a few minutes, but then the doors flew open. As they stepped outside, Trevor spoke to Sebastian again. I completely disagree with what you have said. I believe that God is just and wants human beings all across the universe according to his plan. He gives us the right to choose our destiny rather than having it chosen by you. As he was saying this, Trevor was backing out into the street, still facing the doors to the museum. The guards were following slowly with their weapons up. Trevor wasn't exactly sure what he was going to do next. He could probably go further with Sebastian, but at some point the guards would take some action. And then, what would he do? Suddenly, he heard the sound of a sniper rifle in the distance, and both guards were down. Trevor turned toward the sniper fire, releasing Sebastian as he did. Then 2 more shots rang out, and Sebastian went down. Trevor crouched in front of Sebastian, who had been shot twice in the chest. He was breathing hard with his last few breaths as he struggled to speak. Even without the final solution, I can't be stopped, and man will return to Earth. Trevor looked into his eyes. Not if I have anything to say about it. Then Trevor slugged Sebastian hard in the side, and blood spat from his mouth. That is for my daughter, Sarah, you son of a bitch! Sebastian looked up and exhaled one last breath before dying. Trevor took the cross that was still in his hand and laid it gently on Sebastian's chest. As he was doing this, he heard a battle cruiser hovering just a few feet behind him, and someone called out, Major! He turned and ran to the waiting rope. As he did, he looked back and saw guards streaming out from the open doors. Tracker fired a missile, and the museum exploded in a fireball. By then, Major Ryder was safe inside the ship, and it was rising up into the evening sky. Okay, I'm coming. Chapter 18, Low Earth Orbit. Major Trevor Ryder sat with what was left of his team at the meeting table. As soon as he boarded the ship, he ordered the crew not to notify Commander Smith that he was safe. He said he would explain everything at the meeting. Looking around the table, Ryder noticed that Tracker looked stressed, but seemed happy to see his good friend again. Bites was working on his handheld as usual. Specialist Jewel was cleaning her sniper rifle slowly and meticulously, and Sergeant Beccario stood on the side looking forlorn. So, first, let me thank all of you for being there to save me, Ryder started. How did you find me, by the way? Bites lifted his head from the handheld. Major, as you know, all of us have a tracking device implanted in our bodies. You actually have two of them. The EOA removed one of your tracking beacons, but I made sure to leave the other one inactive for a while, hoping that they wouldn't notice it until after they examined you. Finding one, it appears they gave up on searching for any more. The problem was that the second one was weaker than the first, so it wasn't until you came up from the basement of that building that we caught your signal. Tracker continued the story from there. We have been lying low in Atlanta, hoping to pick up your signal for weeks. The way Jewel and Beccario described the ambush in the CNN Center, it appeared they wanted to capture you, not kill all of us. So we figured you would probably find a way to escape sometime. Since no ship has left Atlanta, we knew that you must still be in the area somewhere. We have been ordered many times by Commander Smith to return to the orb, but ignored these orders for now. Ryder was dumbfounded. But how did you know I would escape at some point? Jewel looked up from her rifle. Sir, come on. We all know you would find a way. Ryder nodded and responded. Thank you for waiting for me. Before we move on to our next plans, we must honor our lost friends. He grabbed his bottle of tequila from the center of the table. It was a tradition in his team to drink a shot in honor of any soldiers who were lost, and now he had the terrible task of honoring two of them at once. After that, they would be able to talk more, but for now they needed to have closure. He opened the bottle and poured shots for all of them. First, Ryder said as he raised the shot glass, I want to give honor to Sergeant Bullet. He was a man of pure strength and fight. He never gave up in any situation. Looking around the room, he said, and I know that Bullet saved every one of your asses at least once, including mine a few times. To Sergeant Bullet, may he find peace in the next life and a rifle with unlimited bullets. They all clinked shot glasses and swallowed. Then he poured a second round of shots. Now we must honor one half of the most incredible soldier team I have ever worked with, the Bees Twins. At this, Sergeant Beccario choked up a little, and Jewel went around to give him a hug. Together, these two men created a fighting force that was unmatched anywhere. They could read each other's minds and anticipate each other's moves. Together, they always had our backs. While Sergeant Black is no longer with us, we still have one half of the team to carry on the Bee Twins' legacy. Ryder nodded to Beccario when he said this. To Sergeant Black, for all that he did for us, and to the hope that Sergeant Beccario will have to wait a long time to be reunited with him. They all clinked glasses one more time and swallowed hard. Beccario struggled getting his down, but at Jewel's urging, he downed it. The team set the shot glasses down, and there was a moment of silence as they were all lost in their own thoughts. Ryder finally broke the silence, and it was time to get back to work. Now, team, if you will allow me to get cleaned up and dressed in proper uniform, I will meet you back here in 15 minutes. Remember, for now, we must maintain radio silence until we figure out our next steps. Team dismissed. Ryder floated down the hallway. It felt good to be out of the harsh Earth's gravity and being down there for so long. Upon entering the ship, his first question was the date. Bites told him it was May 4th. That meant he had been a hostage for more than 3 weeks. Time was short, but he needed a few minutes to recover from the ordeal before he could face the next steps. One of his biggest problems was that he didn't know who to trust. He knew that Commander Smith couldn't be trusted, as Sebastian told him this. But how much further up the chain did it go? Who could he trust with the knowledge he learned from Sebastian? And what about Cooper? How could he protect him from here on Earth when so many other attacks were planned at once? Ryder reached his room where he immediately washed his face and looked in the mirror. This was the longest time he had been held captive, and it was apparent. His beard was straggly, but not nearly as long as it was when he met Cooper so long ago in Denver. He took off the robe and underwear and examined the new scars that were added to the many he already had from years in the field. His shoulder, where he was shot, was almost healed. His ribs were still painful to the touch, but didn't show bruises anymore. He went into a small shower and turned on the water, allowing the super hot water to soothe his body. He took a quick shower because time was short, but it felt good to get washed up and put his military uniform back on. As he was preparing to leave, Jewel knocked. Ryder beckoned her to enter as she sat down at the table with a steaming cup of coffee. "So, how are you, sir?" Jewel asked, looking at him closely. "Well, I am sure I will have some nightmares from this experience. They used that new taser design on me, and let me tell you, that is quite painful experience to go through. I felt it for hours," Ryder said, smiling slightly to lighten the mood. "Sir, I want to apologize to you for taking away your opportunity," Jewel said, looking down at the table. "What do you mean, Jewel?" Ryder asked. "I was the one who shot Sebastian. That kill should have been given to you." "Jewel, don't even think about it twice. I just wish this ended it. But as you and I both know, Sebastian is just one man in a large organization. Do you feel any better having killed him?" Ryder asked, looking into her eyes for the answer. "Well, sir, at the time, I thought this would be my chance to finally end the nightmares of my childhood, to finally feel the vengeance for what was done to me and my family. But it only helped for a second." Jewel looked up with tears in her eyes. "Katie, what you went through as a child was horrific. I wish there was a way that I could just wave a wand and you would feel better. But sadly, wounds like this never really heal. However, we have an opportunity to truly make a difference. Sebastian was the leader of the EOA, and his disciples worshipped him like a god. Today, we made a real dent in their organization, so feel good about that and look to the future." Ryder reached over and grabbed her hand and held it for a moment until she let go and stood up. "Thank you for listening, Major. Your support over the years means a lot to me." "I am just glad you have such a good aim, Jewel. I was only a few inches from Sebastian when you hit him with those two shots." This made Jewel smile. As she floated toward the door, she turned and said, "I wasn't going to miss that shot. But I thought you might want the final word, so that is why I hit him in the chest instead of taking his head off." "Thank you for that," Ryder said, getting up as well. He took a deep breath. It was time to save the world yet again. Chapter 19, Gemini. Cooper and Anne were again in the graveyard searching for parts. Anne was content to let Cooper drive. In fact, she preferred it. Cooper needed the training, and she needed to focus on examining the derelict ships on the computer to decide which one would be best bet at finding a condenser. This part was critical to the next phase of the repair of the Chinese ship. They were getting close to the finish, and she would be glad to get the ship off her hands. They already checked out 5 of the 8 possible derelict ships with no luck. Cooper was excited because they were going deeper into the graveyard, further than he ever had been before. Some of the ships here were almost 50 years old. He was learning so much about the history of space travel from this experience. As they were approaching the next ship, an old Russian model called the Adelaida, which meant Noble One, Cooper could see her problem right away. The front half of the ship was mangled and open to space. "The Adelaida will definitely not fly again," thought Cooper sadly. "Damn," Anne said. "Not sure if this one will have what we need." "Yeah, I think it depends on the extent of the exposure to space," Cooper noted. Anne agreed with a nod. Cooper slowed his approach and was about to turn the shuttle to line up side by side with the ship when a beeping alarm appeared on the monitor. Cooper looked to Anne for answers, since he was still learning the controls. Anne thought as she pulled open the holograph of the surrounding space. She zoomed in on a blinking dot, then said, "This is strange, Koopa. There is another ship out here." "Do you mean another ship with live people?" Cooper asked. "Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. Give me a minute." She clicked on the blinking light and ran a report. "This is not one of ours. In fact, this ship isn't registered in the system. We need to investigate, but we need to do it carefully so we don't alert them. Turn slowly with a bearing of 80 degrees, and let's head to this derelict here." She pointed to another ship on the screen. "Go slowly, though. I want to do some more long-range scans and see if there is anything else out there." Cooper did as she ordered and turned the shuttle slowly, approaching the other derelict ship. This would put them closer to the unidentified ship, but hopefully would not alert them. After a few more minutes, the system alerted them with another ship, then another. "Cooper, come to a stop for a minute," Anne ordered. "Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh," she yelled, pulling up more screens and reports. "Koopa, we have to get out of here now." "What is it, Anne?" Cooper said, suddenly very nervous. "Koopa, that is the Blackbeard Armada," Anne said, still flipping through screens. "Look here at this one. It is also unidentified, but clearly a ship designed for battle and speed. But the real giveaway is this one in the center." She clicked another dot, and information appeared. "It has the same radar signal as the one that attacked the Chinese ship we were working on right now. Turn us on a bearing of 180 degrees and slowly get us back to the airlock. We have to get back to tell this to my grandfather now." Anne said this with a sense of urgency Cooper never saw in her before. He followed her orders immediately. Chapter 20, Low Earth Orbit. Ryder and the team returned to the meeting room table. This time Tracker wasn't present. He was piloting the cruiser. At this moment, they were running blind with no radio signals or outside lights. Until Ryder met with his team to discuss plans, he didn't want anyone to know they were back out in space. Ryder started by sharing all that he had learned from Sebastian Samuels, including the fact that he faked his death a decade ago. The biggest problem we have is we don't know who is on our side. We also don't know if anyone will believe us." Bites opened a picture that showed Samuels right before he was shot. Even though the lighting was bad due to an impending sunset, it could be used to help explain the situation. "That is good, Bites. Maybe if I can arrange a private conversation with the chairman of the World Space Congress, I can warn him in time to keep him safe from assassination." "That would be a good start," Jules said. "It would also help if we could get a few guards into that meeting that we are sure are on our side." "Does anyone know a soldier we can trust on the World Congress duty?" Ryder asked. A voice out of the table speaker came through. It was Tracker. "Major, I have a few Navajo friends serving that duty right now. Do you want me to try and contact them?" "Thank you, Tracker. Let's wait until we are ready to break radio silence. Then you can make the call." "Now," Ryder said, "let's turn to the other potential attacks. Sebastian told me he allied with the space pirates, and they were going to carry out the attacks on the space stations. We only know of two big space pirate organizations, the Blackbeards and the Marauders. Sebastian identified the key targets as Armstrong Moon Base and the Gemini space station. In what ways can we stop these attacks?" Baccaro stated, "Sir, the Gemini is such a big station. Even if we fired on it, I don't think they would destroy it from the outside. That means they probably will attack it via a boarding party." Ryder cut in. "Plus, it sounded like the pirates believe they will get control of the stations once they take them over, so they might not want to damage them too much structurally in the attack. And unbeknownst to the pirates, once they have control, an EOA team will appear and somehow destroy the facility," according to Samuels. "Sir, I hate to be a downer, but I don't see how our small army of 5 can stop an assassination and 2 pirate attacks, which will all be happening at the same moment," Jules said, shaking her head. "Well, if we can find the people to infiltrate the World Space Congress, we can focus on the other 2 attacks. As far as Armstrong and Gemini, you are correct. We can't do both. My goal is to contact Bolts with all the information we have about Gemini, and we will head toward Armstrong and stop the pirates there. Then I hope that Bolts and his men can hold off the attack on Gemini until we arrive. I can contact a few of my other loyal team members and see if they can round up some more battle cruisers for us, but since we can't trust anyone, we will need to be prepared for a long fight. Remember, the fate of the space program is in our hands. We have dealt the EOA a major blow by killing their leader and destroying their base in Atlanta. But it is not over yet. I need to know that all of you are ready to fight to the end. Are you with me? The team looked at each other and then said in unison, "Yes, sir!" From the intercom, Tracker echoed the same response. Bites, can you use the interstellar telescope system to try and locate the current position of the space pirate groups? Tracker, take us off radio silence and contact your friends at the World Space Congress. Handing his device to Jewel, he ordered, "Jewel, contact this list of soldiers and see what equipment, men, and ships they can organize without notifying the military administration. Becario, get all the weapons ready for attack. I will send a secret message to Bolts. Then I will try and contact the chairman directly. We will reconvene here in 2 hours. Team dismissed." As the soldiers moved out, getting started on their projects, Ryder floated toward the bridge to check in on Tracker. On his way, he stopped for a moment and removed the secret card that matched the one he gave to Cooper. Luckily, Bites was able to recreate the one that was lost during the battle in Atlanta. Ryder was struggling with the fact that he wasn't headed directly to Gemini to save his grandson. He had to think about priorities from a professional point of view first, before his personal feelings, which made some things more important than others. Bolts will protect him, Ryder thought, but what if the forces are overpowering? Ryder wavered again, but knew this was the right decision. If the moon base was destroyed, the future of the space program would be lost for decades. Ryder used his password on the card and then wrote, "Cooper, attack on the Gemini from space pirates imminent. EOA has infiltrated the military. Trust no one but Bolts with this information." Ryder arrived at the bridge and took a seat behind Tracker. "Tracker, status report." "Ryder, I have notified my friends in the Congress security and they will be armed and ready to stop the attack. Their names are Lieutenant Gossivan and Sergeant Elisu. Also, as soon as we left radio silence, we were inundated with messages from Commander Smith. We are being recalled to the orb immediately. Those are our orders." "Thank you, Tracker. Let your friends know that there might be many enemies, and I will try to see if I can get a direct message to Chairman Rigel. Then, we have to start our course towards the moon. We need to get out of Earth space in case Smith tries to decide and attack us. By now, he knows what happened in Atlanta, and he will want to stop us from letting everyone know about the EOA attacks." Without looking up, Tracker asked, "So, do you believe Samuels? Do you think that Commander Smith was working for the EOA?" "I don't see any other way about it, Tracker." Ryder shook his head in disappointment. "The way he sent us into the CNN center without even considering backup, and then how the EOA was ready for us. They knew we were coming, and the only person who knew we were going to the CNN center was Smith. He told them. We can't trust him or pretty much anyone else at this point." "Understood. I am changing course now and will use the Earth's gravity to launch us towards the moon. I will have the gravitational slingshot course plotted in a matter of minutes." As he said this, Ryder could see his hands flying over the keys on the terminal, calculating the plan. A small image appeared and showed a simulation of their current course and the slingshot course, which would push them closer to Earth on the next orbit and then drive them out away from Earth at a faster velocity than they were at now. Ryder was always amazed at how Tracker could do all this in just a matter of seconds. Just to lighten the mood, Ryder said, You could use the AI to do that for you." Tracker looked back with annoyance, clicked a button, and the perfect simulation appeared. "There is no way an AI could come up with this route. It maximizes our speed with very little use of resources. Whenever you are ready, I can execute this. I would suggest we move soon, as I have just registered 2 ships heading in our direction." Ryder pushed the button for the intercom. "Team, take your seats and strap in now. Tracker is going to get us headed toward the moon in 30 seconds. Then to Tracker, "Can you identify those ships?" Ryder, "They are both battle cruisers. One of them left the orb, and the other one left Samuel Space Station. However, they won't reach us in time to do any damage. Ready to execute at your command." "Now, Tracker, get us out of here." There was a slight vibration in the ship, and Ryder noticed that the image changed. They were facing down toward the Earth slightly, and gravity returned to them. As they were gaining velocity, then just as as he wondered if they would hit the atmosphere, another adjustment, and they were facing directly into space. When the acceleration was over, the moon was more visible in the viewport. During this time, Trevor tried many different ways to contact the chairman covertly. He was turned away at every attempt. He even sent a direct warning to the chief of security in the hopes that he would delay the prayer ceremony, but was told that security was at its highest level at the event and there was nothing to worry about. Trevor hoped that Tracker's friends could save the day. Ryder returned to the conference room to meet with the team to discuss the plan. Bites, were you able to locate the marauders? Bites looked up from his device for only a moment before responding. At this time, there are no suspicious movements of ships. However, I used the array of telescopes from Earth and the Moon to look back over the past few days. It appears that a group of ships landed on the dark side of the Moon. That is the opposite side of where the moon base is, and there are a few sensors on that side. It looks like they may be hiding in one of the craters. Additional sensors led me to believe this is the Marauders. They probably plan on coming around the side of the moon just in time for the attack. We will need to be careful about our fuel supply if we plan to attack them before we make our way to Gemini. Good work, Bites. Tracker, notify Sergeant White at the Armstrong moon base. He is the only one I trust down there. He needs to know that an attack is imminent. With our disruption of the whole plan in Atlanta, the pirates may start the attack early. Got it, Major, I'm on it, Tracker said from the speaker. Should I adjust course to intercept the other ships? Ryder looked to Bites again. What do you think, Bites? Bites was still on his device again, pushing screens aside and typing in other commands. Sir, I just got a live feed from one of the satellites that's surrounding the dark side of the moon. You aren't going to like this. Ryder didn't need any more bad news. Go. You were correct. I think something has happened. The ships that were there in the earlier photos are gone. I think they might be heading for the attack already. That would be 2 days early, yelled Jewel. It may be one of those situations where if the pirates didn't hear from the EOA in a certain number of hours, they were just to attack. This is a common plan which ensures that things move forward even if some small detail goes wrong. There is no sense in all the teams going down as well, Ryder said, moving closer to Bites. Bites, I need a situation report right now. Where are those ships? Give me some time to see if I can pinpoint them by hacking into the other satellites. Tracker, give me a time of arrival, Ryder said. Everyone was silent as the team worked their magic. Then Bites spoke up. Sir, I see them. They are definitely on the move around the moon. I estimate they will be able to attack the moon base in 6 hours. Damn, Tracker. What have you got? How long will it take us? Major, at our current velocity, we won't arrive for 12 hours. However, if we do a quick burn now, I can cut the time to 7 hours. However, this will make it harder for us to reach Gemini in a reasonable amount of time. Ryder couldn't believe this. He wasn't really a churchgoer, but now seemed like the time to pray that bolts would keep Cooper safe. Tracker, give us a minute to strap in and then hit the burn. They all strapped in securely, and then they heard, burn in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ship jumped forward, and they all pushed back in their seats. When the burn ended, Ryder asked for a report. Major, we should be arriving at the moon in 6 hours, 54 minutes. We will have to slow down a little, but I recommend that we do a flyby around the moon first. This will give us time to make one attack from above before we can continue our orbit around the moon. Then we can attack again on the next orbit. Thank you, Tracker, Ryder said into the intercom. Then turning to Jewel, he asked, Any word from my contacts? Jewel looked up from her handheld with a frown. Major, we are having trouble reaching people to help. I am sorry. The child's family is headed to Sergeant White and will assist him in any way they can. The Alwine family was on Earth but is headed back to the moon, but I'm afraid they won't make it in time to assist. Ryder frowned. Well, I guess we are pretty much on our own. Then to the intercom again. Tracker, I am sending Jewel up to you. She will be on missile control, as you will need to be navigating the ship to protect us from the pirate attack. Beccario, I'm going to need you on the cannon. Yes, sir. Beccaro and Jewel said in unison as they unbelted from their seats and floated toward the front. Leaning into Bites, Ryder asked, Bites, can you get me any information on the Blackbeard's progress to Gemini? Sir, I have been looking for evidence of their group and haven't found them. It is strange because if they were going to attack at once, they would need to come in as a group, but I'm not seeing anything. I looked back over the past few days but haven't found anything on the telescopes either. Well, keep looking. We need to find them so I can give Bolt some information, Ryder said, thinking about his next move. Then he heard Tracker from the intercom. Ryder, I have a radio call in for you. It must be one of our friends. Ryder picked up the headset, put it on, and clicked the button to connect. This is Ryder. Ryder, this is Sergeant White. Sergeant, I have some bad news for you. The Marauders are en route to the moon base to attack. We have tracked 12 ships leaving the dark side of the moon and headed toward you from the east. Jesus, said White. It is worse than you think, White. This is part of a coordinated attack by the EOA. According to their leader, the now dead Senator Sebastian Samuels, the EOA infiltrated the ranks of the military. The pirates were planning on just taking over the base, but the EOA soldiers are planning on destroying the base with everyone there. What can I do? White said, obviously in panic. I think we can both agree that we can trust Administrator Rigel. So, have him evacuate everyone to the tunnels. If the EOA is planning to destroy the moon base, they will probably try to blow up the terminal area. This would be the best way to end the effective use of the base. By clearing people out, you may be able to find out who the saboteurs are. White, you need to find your most trusted team. The child's family is on their way to you and will help in any way they can. Then you will need to detain anyone you suspect is working for the EOA. Wait, I have an idea. Riders took his headset off for a minute and turned to Bites. Bites, I know I've asked a lot, but have you downloaded anything from Ryan's terminal that might resemble an agent list? Maybe there is a list of names of soldiers who will be activated during the attack. Sir, there are so many files to search. I need more time. If we could figure out one name that might be on the list, I might be able to search and find a list of their contacts. Back on the headset, Ryder said, White, do you suspect any particular soldiers who might be working for the EOA? If we could have just one name, I might be able to give you a list of potential associates. One moment, sir. Ryder heard him tapping on the handheld. Then he came back. Sir, do you remember when we interrogated the people involved in the attack on the supply ship a few weeks ago? Yes, I remember, Ryder was thinking back to the good times he shared with Cooper. It was hard to believe that it was only a few weeks ago. His time in captivity seemed to go on for so long. Well, your interrogations led us to a worker who helped give Ryan access to plant the detonator, but it turns out that during intense questioning, he revealed who helped him gain access. It was one of my recent transfers here, a man named Corporal Richard Turnbull. Ryder covered the mic for a moment and said to Bites, Try a Corporal Richard Turnbull. Then back on with White, Ryder said, I would suggest that you talk to the basic training team and pull all the drill sergeant out to help you. Maybe have them leave the untrusted drill sergeants to watch over the recruits. You are going to need every man and woman you can to fight the attack. Sir, got it, Bites said, looking up to Ryder. White, Bites will forward you a list of people in the EOA. Track them down and detain them until after the fight is over, Ryder ordered. I've received the list, and I will have my trusted corporal assistant move on this. When will you arrive? We are en route and should be there in less than 6 hours, but you will face the Marauders alone until then. We plan to attack them from the rear flank. We hope to see you soon. Thank you for your help, sir. See you soon. White clicked off, and there was silence in the headset. Tracker, Ryder said into the intercom. Have you been able to reach someone at Gemini? No, sir. There seems to be something interfering with the signals. I'm afraid that the Blackbeards figured out a way to disrupt transmissions. Bites, any word on where the Blackbeards are? Nothing, sir. We know that they were planning an attack, but we just don't know when and how. Ryder slammed his hand on the table. My grandson is on Gemini. I need more information than this. He got up and floated over to get some more coffee. He knew that saving Armstrong needed to come first, but it didn't make it any easier thinking about Cooper. Sebastian's words kept repeating in his ear. My grandson is part of the plan, and he will give Cooper a chance to join him, or he will be killed with all the other humans on the space station. Would Samuels really give Cooper a chance to live? Ryder wondered.